Hi everyone, from me, Brent Graham. Thursday night, 9 o'clock. It's time for the Handicap Rugby Chat That Matters. Well, we've got another jam-packed weekend ahead. I'm back at home. Last week, of course, I was at Sun City, and I must say the couch I was sitting on there gave me back pains for the rest of the week, so I'm pleased to be back in my own chair at least. But good to welcome the guests on the show, first of all. Look at the top of the screen there, looking like he could do with a bit of manscaping of his own there, is Chris Rowe. Chris, good to have you on the show, mate. How are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks, Brent. Good to be back. Lots of rugby to get through, so looking forward to it. Yeah,
excellent. And just to mention, I'm going to be I actually put a sort of notice on to say watch out for an announcement on next week's show, because I was looking either because I can't do it, so I need someone to stand in for me. Alternatively, I was going to record it earlier or change the time. But the good news is I had a quick chat to Chris, and he's going to host the show next week. So, Chris, in advance, good luck for that, mate.
Yeah, thank you, mate. Looking forward to it. I'll be a better host than a touchstar, I think. So let's go. The job's in jeopardy, mate.
Yeah. You can take over. And at the bottom of the screen, I haven't seen him sipping on his first tafel of the night yet. It's the conductor. Conductor, welcome back, mate.
Yeah, thanks, Brenty. How's it, Chris? Lovely to join you boys always on a Thursday night. And lovely to be back on the show after a bit of a roller coaster weekend last weekend. Got off to a bit of a bumpy start on Friday, and on Saturday morning, I had the family farm on the Blues, and when Brent Graham was lining up that penalty kick, I had visions of me rejoining the line at the male escort agency servicing the over 50s in Pretoria East. So it was a massive escape there. I was lucky to walk away with that, and it was so funny actually watching the game with my girlfriend, because I was obviously just sipping her tea, and literally that last 25 seconds, I said to her, the Blues are going to give away a penalty. I just had that inevitability about it. And as they gave away the penalty, I just thought, that bet's gone. So just so lucky I got out of jail there. And it just goes to that old adage that sometimes good bets lose and bad bets win. And it was a bad bet that won. It was so fortunate. The Blues were terrible. But like Chris says, actually chock a block of rugby, some cracker fixtures. So hopefully we can find some winners.
Excellent. Well, we're going to start off with you on Super Rugby. And guys, while you're talking, actually, Brendan, I'm going to pop off. I see I'm on my wrong connection, my 3G, which is a bit suspect tonight. So I'm going to switch back over to my Wi-Fi while we're chatting about the first game. But let's get into that. And we'll start with Super Rugby Pacific. And in particular here, the Blues against the Highlanders. Blues minus 10.5 conductor against the Highlanders. And like you, I can tell you, I'm thinking twice before I'm steaming into the Blues, because I was on over 27.5 Blues points, and I had a big smack on Saturday. I unfortunately made that the newsletter best bet. And although I managed to fight my way back, I really won't forgive those Blues in a hurry.
Yeah, Brent, it was a poor game. I mean, I think going into the last 2 minutes, I'd thrown that betting slip in the bin. The Blues were just awful, hey. Just Robinson really tried his best to lose the game at the end there. I thought I was really, I think, you and I were commenting via tweets or WhatsApp or whatever, and we were both baying for Bowden to come on. And when he came on, he had an absolute shocker when he did come on. So it didn't make much of a difference.
He was awful.
He was awful. So, and you would think that, Harry Plummer sets the bar pretty low, but it was spectacular to go below Harry Plummer in his efforts. So, obviously some changes for the Blues. Harry Plummer dropping out of the side with an injury. Bodie coming in at 10. Obviously, Tuivasa Shek, he's out. I think Bryce Heem comes in his place there. So a couple of changes. Robinson, he's rested, and as well as Josh Goodhue. So some changes there at lock, and at I think it's Sam Derry that comes in the loose trio there. I've taken a bit of Highlanders, or not a bit. I've taken quite a bit of Highlanders plus 11.5. Highlanders for me will be more desperate for the win here. I've been totally unconvinced with the two first Blues games. Well, we all know what happened in that first one where they chucked away a big lead. The Highlanders really did well for me last week against the Harlequins, coming in with the plus 7.5. So they did well for me. So I'm going to keep the faith with them. I think Sam Gilbert and one of the other players out with COVID, but Scott Gregory back in at centre, Aaron Smith back at captain, starting at 9. I like this Highlanders side, very workmanlike, very blue collar. There's no nonsense with this sort of side. They'll grind out and try and get the win there. Even though I think it's not in the main stadium in Auckland.
Yeah, North Harbour.
North Harbour, that's it. So I don't think there'll be a crowd either. So that sort of nullifies a little bit of advantage for the Blues. Like I said, one could see possibly a better performance by Bodie Barrett, but he wasn't great last week. For me, he's maybe lacking a bit of confidence after that horrible concussion he sustained. So I'm more than happy to take the Highlanders plus. Yeah, like for me, I think Tony Brown is a good coach. I think he'll have the guys fired up. And on the opposite side, after that Blues game, look, like I said, I got out of jail, but I had to question: is it a culture thing at the Blues, or is it just a coaching issue at the Blues that they really battle to finish games off, and they really battle really badly in periods of the game. They can't string together a very consistent performance in a game. So, like I said, I'm more than happy to take Highlanders on the plus here.
Right, Chris, are you going to be rubber stamping that one? And just before you come in there, I can give you the points line as well, Chris. I see 49.5 points.
Yeah, well, I'm definitely rubber stamping. This was one of the games that I caught out in my earlier picks this week that stuck out. I mean, echoing pretty much there what Brendan has said. I think this is a repeat of the final, wasn't it? Rotorua, whatever it's called, which the Blues won. Lots of changes from both sides to that game anyway, so I wouldn't write into that, even though the Blues won. I agree. I mean, you got to bank that Bodie Barrett's going to be better, but that Barrett, Heem, and Ione combo is giving me a headache. I don't know how they're going to perform those three together, because Ione should be on the wing, to be honest. So yeah, I agree. I was also all over the Blues last week. We've given the Blues opportunities. They haven't proved themselves. They haven't shown us. They haven't given us the respect or the confidence to give them a double-digit handicap. If anyone's going for them, good luck. Highlanders are gritty. They're nuggety. Yeah, they have lost their first 3 games, but you can see them arriving in North Harbour. I think it's going to be a much tighter game than a 10-point game. I don't see much separation between the two teams. Pretty confident bet on the call on the plus here as well.
Got a nice confident start to the show from both panelists. They're going on the plus. Well, let's stay with you, Chris. We got the Melbourne Rebels plus 14.5 against the Brumbies. I kept this game ridiculously low, I must admit. I think I had it at something like plus 9.5 Rebels. The bookies came out 17.5. But interesting that the line is kind of moving in between where I was and the bookies were now. It seems to be shifting. There's been a bit of money for the Rebels, which is interesting because based on the Rebels' performances, you can't be backing them with any confidence.
No. I mean, Rebels are one of the worst teams I've seen in a while. Like when Force were really bad, I think this team could even be worse than the worst Force team that were out at one stage. I can't see how you can back the Rebels. Yeah, the Australian derbies can become a bit of a scrap fest. We know that, and the points don't flow. But I think I can see it's pretty good weather in Melbourne tomorrow as well. I mean, Fijian and Drua, the tries that the Rebels gave away last week, it's the over the line out in their own half. Before you know it, there was a flank and in the corner. It was something else. So I'm definitely not touching Rebels with a barge pole this week. I like Brumbies. I see the Brumbies points side 30 because I think they're going to get a lot of opportunities, as they will. So I'm eyeing out Brumbies points. And actually, what I'm eyeing out even more confidently is McInerney. Hack names, but the hooker. Brumbies haven't had a hooker try in 2 games since the 2 meat pies they got in the first game. That's unheard of. I think against this Rebels team, I think you could even get even money for him to score a try. So I really like that. And Rob Valentini scoring tries like it's gone out of fashion. He's busting holes there in the middle of the park. You can get Valentini to score a try at 3-1, which I think is major value. I would have thought it would be 2-1. So I'm actually looking at that more so. Maybe Brumbies points, maybe Brumbies lower alt points in a double somewhere for sure, because I think Rebels are going to give them they're going to get opportunities. They're going to get at least 5 ball-in opportunities to score for sure. So those are the angles I'm looking at this stage, but not the cap, because just because Rebels actually do have quite a decent record against the Brumbies. If you look, they do actually give them a game. So on that basis, and I'm never a minus. I hardly ever bet on a minus handicap, so I wouldn't be going on a minus Brumbies. Even though, if guns ahead and this was the last bet of our lives and I had to make one, it would be on the minus, but I won't be taking the minus.
I guess if it was the last bet of your life, you wouldn't be under too much pressure, eh?
Well,
Knowing the result doesn't really count. No, yeah, I get exactly what you're saying there, Chris. Let's go to the conductor. Conductor, with some of your money that's driven this handicap down from 17.5.
It wouldn't be a Friday without some self-inflicted pain. So I've taken Rebels plus 17.5. Yeah, look, like we're saying, the Rebels are awful, but they have got back a bit of cattle. Andrew Killaway, he's back. Reece Hodge is back. Matt Phillip is back. Jordan Lacey is back. Ross Taylor-Petty's on the bench. Moses Arabi on the bench. So for me, a far better looking Rebel side. Like we said, they were awful against Drua, and Brent, well done to you for calling Drua on the board. That was a cracking call.
Yeah, I could have mentioned that as well, Brent.
A 5-1 bet, and I can tell you that even after placing that bet, I still lost money on the day because everything else went pear-shaped for me. But it felt good to call that one.
So I've taken a bit of Rebels. It's like nothing massive. A sort of smallish to medium strike on the Rebels. I don't particularly like that Brumbies side. Jerome Brown at 7, Tom Moore at 5, and Jesse Mogg on the wing. I used to always enjoy Jesse Mogg when he played for the Brumbies at 15. I used to love the way he played, but I think he's a little bit long in the tooth, and I don't know how good he is at wing. Thought Rebels were very good last week against, I think it was a Force. I'm expecting an absolute scrap fest there in Brisbane. I must say the Rebels can't score, but the defense at times can be quite staunch. So that's why I was maybe looking at Rebels overs, which is about 15.5, but I'll probably just stick to my plus 17.5 and just hope it's an absolute rubbish game. I can see the score being about 10-20 in favour of the Brumbies, and that's ugly as all hell. So I'm hoping it's going to be scrappy in Brisbane. I think Rebels, I don't like backing teams because they're desperate for a win, but they will be desperate for a win. But I think they might be slightly better. But I really wouldn't be surprised if they lost the cap. But I like the cap. I think Killaway to me is quite exciting. He's actually a really good player for the Rebels, and he is a decent player. And I think Hodges with the boot should be able to keep them in touch.
Right, I must say, the first game, you two guys had me filled with confidence. I've got absolutely zero confidence in you after the second game. I'm actually so confused. I'm going to have to watch the show again to see what you boys are backing on that one. But let's move into the Crusaders match now. We've got the Crusaders up against the Chiefs. And here we've got a double-digit handicap, minus 12.5 conductor.
No, Brent just opened at minus 7.5, and I took as much 7.5 as I could take. Obviously, it was less of a Crusaders side and more of a Canterbury side that played Moana Pacifica last week with guys like Dallas McLeod and Punivai and Chafee Haki and these sort of guys. But it's back to business for Scott Robinson and the Crusaders. I mean, that is an absolutely scary side that's running out for the Crusaders. I mean, with the exception of Pablo Montero, you wouldn't be surprised that team ran out for the All Blacks, because it's just flipping scary with guys like Will Jordan, Braden Ennor. I mean, my fervent wish is that we can send undercover operatives to Christchurch and somehow steal Will Jordan's semen and try and create a small, take over a small town in the Karoo and just have Will Jordan babies and just reproduce that oak's DNA, because he is a freak. It's there's very few players. I mean, Christian Cullen is probably one of the best rugby players I've ever watched in my life, and I watched him live, and just one of the best broken field runners. And I would say Will Jordan is starting to sort of get to that level. He's just incredible in broken play. I mean, a guy like Cheslin Colby is an incredible stepper, but Will Jordan, the way he sides through defenses, this is next level. The pace, the precision, everything. So at minus 12.5. It's a tough one. Hey, Chiefs, rotating Weber and Ioane out, and I think they've got Xavier Rowe and Bryn Gatland in. Quite a few changes to this Chiefs side. This is maybe a touch high. I'd probably still look a little bit. This is actually no bet for me at the minus 12.5. I don't like taking anything bigger than a double digit against a Chiefs side. I'll take the minus here. But I'd probably maybe look at a points play. I think the Chiefs all know they have to try and play some good attacking rugby to try and keep in line with the Crusaders. They're not going to defend their way to keeping a touch here. So if we can get maybe a decent line of 51.5, 52.5, I'd probably look at overs. Crusaders, phenomenal on attack and haven't been that good on defense, last 1 or 2 years.
Yeah, I've got to first of all agree with you on Jordan. He's unbelievable. He just doesn't look like much. If you look at him, he's not the biggest guy on the field or whatever, but he's just unbelievable the way he's so elusive. He does remind me a lot of Christian Cullen as well. And just to point out, Henrik also got on the -7.5. So get on the good for the game forum early in the week because he got on that value early on there at 9 to 10. Right, Chris, what have you got for us on this game? Chris?
Hello? Yeah, sorry. I think you're breaking up. Sorry,
Brent. I'm breaking up. Sorry, man. No. What do you like on this one?
Yeah, well, I was actually a no better at 7, to be honest. Even with the teams that are announced, I like the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs will give Crusaders a game. Yeah, that's a scary. I can see why the cat moved, and at 14, I'm not a minus punter. I'm leaning towards. I'll be on the plus there. I just think there's still enough quality in that Chiefs side. They'll give Crusaders a game. 7, yeah. If I was betting at 7, it would be minus. But that was just too dangerous handicap for me. But a plus 13, 14, I like that for the Chiefs. I think they're going to give. I just my opinion. I just think they're going to give the Crusaders a good game. I don't think they're going to go. I don't think they're going to be hanging. They're going to be around right to the end. They're not going to let Crusaders get away at the end. I think they're going to be in the game right to the end.
Right, well, that's a Saturday morning kickoff, 8:05. Chris, we're going to stay with you for the next game. It's the Reds up against the Fijian Drua. And the Reds, big favourites at -25.5 at Sunbet.
Yeah, I'm not the big on the minus handicaps, but I do quite like this one. I don't know how the Drua will live with Reds at home. Reds at home are just so solid. They got so much. I just can't see the Drua living with them. To be honest, I think there's good 5-6 tries in this for the Reds. They'll be pretty solid in defense. So I'm not. This is not a bet that I would make, but I would just. If you were to bet on it, it'd be a minus. But I'll be looking at other options again on the points because I just think points and tries. I think there'll be a good few of them in this game. Yeah, that's my thought on this game.
Right, conductor, you on this game? I mean, the Drua surely can't do it again.
Yeah, Brent. For me, I thought the Drua played fantastically well last week. Went down 14-0 and really came back nicely. I'm talking that went off to the Rebels being absolute toilets rather than Drua being. I mean, I'm not taking away from the Drua when they played like absolute demons and really they deserved every moment at victory and congrats to the guys. I just didn't think Rebels played all that well. When the Drua came up against the Waratahs and the Brumbies, who were far better, I think there was a lot of weaknesses that were exposed. So I managed to get a bit of -23.5 here. It's a very solid Red side. Taniela Tupa back in the starting lineup. For me, James O'Connor is just starting to click, and he's becoming so mercurial at 10. He's really starting to run the show, and I really like Jordi Patai at 15. I think that might be a better move. To me, he's a really good ball player. I just don't know if he's been utilised properly in his other positions. To me, he's got all the skills, so I'm hoping he'll go well. My only concern is the Reds bench is a little bit light, but I still think that the Reds should take enough out the Drua for 55, 60 minutes to put that cap away. I don't recognise the 10 TT Tiller. I think he's sort of been around the Australian provincial setup, and but for Fiji, or I don't know. He's not really that all. I don't really know too much about him, but to me, there's a lot of weaknesses in this Drua side, especially at set piece. They don't particularly have a line out, and that's where Reds can really, really put a lot of pressure on Drua. That was where I was, I had Drua on the plus against Rebels, and it was just so frightening that they just lost line out after line outs. Luckily, they were able to capitalize on the Rebels' mistakes where I don't think Reds will make those silly mistakes and give away easy possession. So, yeah, like I said, I'm on the -23, -25. It becomes a bit high, and maybe points is a bit high as well. I don't like looking at points in Brisbane, but
No, me neither.
particularly because it's it can be quite very steamy and muggy and quite humid. So I'll stick to my -23. I'd probably maybe look, if you wanted to have a bet on this, I'd maybe take Queensland Reds, an alternative minus at a smaller, maybe a -17.5, -8.5, and then combine it with one of the other picks. We've got some nice other picks the rest of the show. So, maybe jot that down as a potential. If you're not comfortable with anything more than 3 converted tries, then take something -20 or under.
Yeah, I might also have a look at the Fijian Drua points here as well, because in those greasy conditions and that, I think the guys might struggle a little bit. I haven't looked at the humidity yet, but Fijian unders, there's also could be a way I'll go. Conductor, we'll finish off. We'll get you started to finish us off on the Super Rugby. We've obviously got the one game that's been cancelled, and here we got the Waratahs at home against Force, 2 much improved sides this season, and we got the Waratahs edging favouritism here.
Yeah, Brent. I'm quite big on the Waratahs on the board here. I got 0.75 or 0.7. I'm not quite exactly sure, but I'm quite big here. I've been impressed with the Waratahs of late. I thought they had a really good, very, very tough game last week. I didn't think they didn't shy away like often Waratahs often do. To me, Isaiah Parisa and that Foketi combo in the midfield really is decent. Charlie Gamble is sporting a 1970s Miami porn star stash. Love that guy, playing great rugby.
Brilliant.
So, I mean, it's unmistakable when he has the ball. So I really like the look of this, the Waratahs side. I think this game's at Leichhardt's Oval, if I'm not mistaken. I think I like the Waratahs to on the board, and I like Waratahs to cover. Yeah, Force. I think Bailey Kunzel at 12 ahead of Kahui, and Pasatoa at 10. I've been really impressed. They really have been decent. Guys, especially guys like Isaac Rodda, and as Alex from UK Rugby Bet said, a guy like Tim Anstey's been great. Kane Kateka, they're really, really nuggety. They punch well above their weights. They really, with in terms of their budget they work in and the players that they have, I thought they've been fantastic. But I'm all over the Waratahs. Yeah, the Waratahs coach outlined that they want to win as much as possible. They really want to bring back New South Wales as a force in rugby, and I think they've got the cattle to do it. Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, just having a look. Peter Paul's commenting, is the 2.5 still available? Yes, there's 5 to 6 available now at Sunday, so suggesting the money's come. I had a quick look at player bets and World Sports Betting. Both of them are 3.5, and Peter Paul mentioned there's some 4.5 available. So certainly looks like the money is coming here for the Waratahs. So if you do want to get on, if you want to take the 5 to 6, 2.5, alternatively, you could still get 19 to 20. I think I saw you can get the -3.5. So that would be the way to go there on the Waratahs. But before you do that, you may want to hear what At the Crow Tips has to say about this one.
Yep, I've pretty much echo the sentiment yet again. Yeah, I think this is a close home win written all over it. I'm going to avoid the cap. I love 1 to 12 here. I think this is like 4 or 5 point game probably to the Tars at home. Force are going to make a game of it. I don't have as much love for the Force yet, to be honest, that they do punch above their weight, but I need to see more from them. They beat a shocking Rebels side. They fell away at the end last week. I think they've still got a bit of. They are much improved, which is great to see. But this is a 1 to 12 home win, close win. I'll avoid the handicap to avoid the Australian banana skin by 1 point, scrappy 13-14 game.
Excellent. Well, guys, we're going to move on to the Six Nations now. We've got 3 big games to look forward to this week, including Friday night. And here we've got Wales plus 9.5, Chris, against France. What are you doing in this one?
Yeah, I already got this another early one for me. I had it at plus 11.5 earlier in the week, so still more than happy with that. Yeah, France is scary. I love France. I love this team. I've got them outright for the championship. But Wales, again, there's another team like England. Wales get themselves up for this game. I think Scotland. France were brilliant last week, but Scotland were woeful. They just as we thought those combinations they fell apart at the seams. So I think France got a little bit of quite a joyride there in the end. I don't think they're going to come into Cardiff on Friday night and they're going to run into a bit of a different atmosphere environment altogether. So I think Wales are going to make a big, tough game out of it. I like Navidi hasn't played, but I love that he's back. That grunt in the pack's going to be great. I mean, obviously, Jonathan Davies back at 12. I quite like that. I've always been a massive fan of him. I just think his presence anywhere at 12 will be decent. Going to be a good game. So at plus 11.5, I was very confident. One of my best bets. Plus 9, I'm a little bit nervous, but I still don't think it's going to be more than a 7-point game. I still think France obviously do win it. Wales can win it, but probably not. I think France also had a few COVID cases. Pinot's out from COVID as well, which could be a big loss. But then Villier's been pretty brilliant as well. So yeah, I'm actually looking forward to it. It's going to be cracking in Cardiff. I do see also there's a lot of rain. I don't know if you guys could shed light. Is the roof still going to be open for COVID protocols? Because I think there's a lot of rain. Is it?
Are you on mute there, conductor?
Oh,
sorry. Yeah, it's open. Sorry, it'll be open.
So it's going to be open. Yeah. So there's also a lot of rain. There's a lot of rain tomorrow as well. So that's another level. Well, maybe, I don't know. I think the France pack are probably a bit more monstrous than Wales. So if it becomes a show of the forwards, that probably gives France the edge. But Wales aren't going down dying wondering tomorrow. So the plus for me.
The plus for Chris there, I can tell you, conductor, the points line here is 44.5. What are your fancies on this game?
Yeah, Brent. I think when Antoine Dupont pulled up in training, the entire Welsh nation held its prayer and said a little prayer. And obviously, when he was named in the lineup, they were obviously a little bit let down. But that Antoine Dupont Intermark combo is just fantastic.
Right.
Dante been fantastic in that centre along with Ficou. And as Chris says, this French side, very well coached, incredible. At the moment, I think they're on a six win streak at the moment. But like I said, 2-3 weeks ago when we did the Wales versus Ireland game, Wales and Cardiff is a completely different kettles of fish. When they all have those daffodil hats on and sipping the 5 or 6 pound lagers, singing "Land of My Fathers." Like I get goosebumps now. I'm so looking forward to tomorrow night because it's a scary sensation because the Welsh doesn't matter who pulls in that Welsh jersey. They just seem to lift the spirit and the determination to win there in Cardiff. Very, very tough to win there. I don't think the French have covered this cap in 22 years in Cardiff. So I speak under correction. I had a quick quiz today. I was looking at. I don't think they've covered this cap. I love plus 9.5. I'm all over this. Like I said, it is scary going against France. They are fantastic. For me, the Scots tried to beat them at a running game, which was never going to work out. They tried to run the French off the ball, and the power and the precision of the French just really was brought to bear against them, and they just couldn't stick with it. But there's no way Wales will play into their hands with that kind of game plan. They'll keep it tight. The only thing I would probably like is Tane Basham ahead of Seb Davies. That was a bit weird for me. But, guys rate Seb Davies. I don't know. But for me, we'll see tomorrow. Like I said, I think Wales are going to grind it out. They're going to be competitive. France will go for the win here. But plus 9.5 is big in Cardiff. So I'm all over the place.
You see, he brought Seb Davies in because of the pack, right? He need Bash. He's obviously a lot more physical than Basham, and he is worried about that. So makes sense. But I do agree, Basham could cause a few French headaches or potentially lose a head or two in there. So I do agree. I would prefer him. I would like him to be around, but I can see why he's done that and covering the locks position as well.
Right, let's go on to the next game then. Italy plus 18.5 against Scotland here, conductor. We got points line sitting at 51.5.
Yeah, Brent, I was just having a quick quiz today, and I just saw, I don't really keep tabs, but I see Italy haven't won a game in the Six Nations for 35 games. So, 35 losses in a row. And I still remember an article that came out that potentially said South Africa could join the Six Nations and replace Italy. And everyone was up in arms and said, well, Italy rugby is going to die as a result. 35 losses in a row. If that isn't dead already, I'm not too sure at what point does a paramedic call time on Italy rugby, because really at what point do they actually be competitive? Saying that, I actually do like Italy on the plus here. It is dangerous. They lost obviously their first two choice hookers in that Ireland game, one through red card and one through injury. So they're playing their third choice, a guy from Benetton. I think it's Varney at 9, ahead of Brayley. So he comes in. I think it's the only two changes. Italy have been good at points. I don't know. This is a tough one. I would have loved to go on that minus. I just don't like a Scotland team without Duan van der Merwe. He just brings so much power and pace in that wing. Carl Sain's not a bad replacement, but he just doesn't have that sort of power to get through. I've been trying to scramble my brains for a bit here, maybe looking at points, maybe looking at Italy first off handicap. I'll probably take a Italy plus 18.5. They do tend to keep it tight against Scotland in Rome. Scotland have been at times not great. Maybe under Keelan Crowley, Italy are improving. I haven't really seen that. It's difficult to really gauge them when they're playing 13 men against Ireland. So I'm going to give them the benefits of the doubt and hope that they're moving in the right direction here and take the plus.
Right, Johan coming in with his weekly treble, which has been pretty successful. So I'll leave that up on the screen for a little while there. I'm going to tell you my advice here, conductor. I see the kickoffs about 10 minutes after the Blue Bulls Munster kickoff. And I'm not saying this won't be a nice game to watch, but I'm going to focus my attention on Bulls Munster and sort of almost leave this one alone a little bit from the betting perspective. Yeah. Chris, what about you?
Yeah, Echo. I mean, I don't, by rule, I don't generally bet on Italy games anyway. But with Hamish Watson back and Ferguson, I think they're huge for Scotland. That's what I was worried about last week. That with them out, that would happen to Scotland, and I proved right. I think then coming back, as I said, Tupeluto, I don't think he fits Scottish style. I think that had been a mistake. I think Scotland are coming to Rome and going to win, and that's it. I don't have anything else for you. I'm not betting on it. Scotland are going to have picked themselves up from last week, come in, roll over Italy, and go home. But I don't have any betting angles for you.
Steve Reed's watching on Facebook. He says you've got to hate your cash to have a bet on this game. And Steve, I think you might just have a point there.
I just can't do Italy. Like last week, like that stuff. It's weird stuff goes on. I do feel sorry for them, and I feel like can be overcritical of sometimes when I don't want to be critical of people, but I don't see the value. I understand the youngest teams are coming through, but they're just man for man quality. It's just we've got to be realistic, right? Like they're not at that. They're not at super level. So that's the end of the story.
Right, Chris. Well, let's have a nice close up of you there. Yeah, we'll get a close up there. By the way, Manscaped have actually come back to us, and they're keen to get involved again from a sponsorship. So thanks to everyone who did support us there. So we'll be having them back on over the coming weeks as well. And looking at Chris there, we might have to.
Might have to.
We won't.
Ginger beer, we'll have to, whatever, give a discount for the ginger scape.
And Chris, I've got a feeling you're going to have a firm opinion on this game. Now, I know there's been quite a bit of money for Ireland already. I think punters leaning towards Ireland, eh?
You want not firm on the cap. No, not on the result. I think I have a feeling England are going to win. That's just my gut. But no, I don't have a firm view. I don't think it's straightforward for Ireland like a lot of people perhaps are thinking. I know Don Brandt is out. He's on the bench. Simmons gets his chance. I generally like the balance of this English side, to be honest. So I prefer Marchand outside Slade. I think they connect much better than Daly or anyone else in the centres. So I think they're going to have a better run. I think it's going to be I think it's going to be a cracking game. I'm definitely going to be watching it. Points at 42. I like the overs. Yeah, I think there'll be some points. Yeah, that's actually quite nice. Actually, that's actually sticking out. That's becoming juicy. I hadn't seen the points yet. I like over 42 in this match.
Well, I saw Conductor nodding feverishly at the overs there, Conductor. I mean, I'm assuming you were listening to Chris and weren't talking to your girlfriend and nodding at something you were saying.
I'm trying to
I had mention points when we were chatting on Twitter, conductor. Honestly, I hadn't got to the points yet when I was going through games today. That was the first time I saw it. I was waiting for that. And I was expecting 45, 46, 47. So I'm quite happy with that.
Yeah, Brent. I took a fair chunk of England plus 2.5. Yeah. I'm not totally convinced with Andy Farrell as the coach of Ireland. And with all the media reports, I suspected that Johnny Sexton would be back at 10. I have tremendous respect for him. I just don't think, I just don't think he's the right guy. I would have probably put my money on Carberry to take them through to the 2023 World Cup. So, and I see Peter Mahoney he's in the Lucy as well. I'm not totally convinced with this Irish side. They've obviously got big threats like James Lowe, Bundy Aki, Gary Ringrose. I've got also tremendous respect for. But like Chris says, I think he put it in the correct terms. A very well balanced England side. I like Ellis Genge and Sinclair there. On the other side of Jamie George. I like the loose trio of Courtney Laws, Curry, and Simmons. Simmons is a fantastic player. I mean, he scores tries in his sleep kind of thing. He's fantastic. And I like the Harry Randall, Marcus Smith combo. And I must say, Freddie Stewart, I watch him week in, week out for Leicester Tigers. I must think he's probably one of the best 15s in the world at the moment. Very, very underrated 15. Anything that's kicked up in the air, he plucks like an apple. So I really like the plus. Twickenham will be absolutely off its hinges. So chock-a-block is from what I can understand. It's not an easy place to go play. Once again, it'll be the weighted expectation for England to do well. Yeah, and I don't think I'm going to take the 42.5. I did see England 19.5, which I much rather prefer. So I'll take England 19.5 there against Ireland. I like that. I like the overs for England.
Right, Steve there. He's very, very firmly in the Irish camp. And Brad Young and the Wager Warlock both saying either team by 7 or less. I had a quick look at Sunbet. I see that's even money. I got to admit, I didn't have a look what Chris has gone for in the good for the game, but I imagine he's gone for something similar or a 1 to 12 or something. Yeah, he likes those type of bets. And I got to say that this could be a very, very tight game indeed. Gents, that brings us to the end of the Six Nations. So let's move on to the URC now. Brendan, I'm going to start with you. And I think, Brendan, the thing we've been waiting for here is the South African teams to play against the English teams at home. We almost got it. Was it back in December when there was all of a sudden the COVID scare again and guys were complaining about staying in 5-star hotels, while they were waiting to get home? The boys are back here now. And the question is, can the South African teams dish out a bit of punishment? Well, the Sharks are expected to do so in the opener, minus 17.5 against the Scarlets.
Yeah, Brent, that previous time they came, it was all duck and no dinner. We got so excited and that you pulled out to the last minute, and it was just really unfortunate, due to COVID, etc. The circumstances surrounding the exit was very bad. So it's great to have the guys back, and thanks for them to travel, because we understand it was what happened last time. It's not ideal. So I can imagine there was hesitancy from them to fly over and to come and play. But on this game. Geez, and the Scarlets it's not a good Scarlet side. Obviously Scarlets did the business last week, but and had a very good win against, I think it was Edinburgh, but had Davies and Reece Patchell at 9 and 10, and this week it's Dane Blacker and a very young Sam Costello, under 20 or under 21 player. So quite an inexperienced Scarlet side, quite a couple of youngsters there. For me, not a strong Scarlet side, and a very strong Shark side. I mean, you've got Tom Natoy, Oxenchair, and Umanami as a front row. That could easily start for the box. And you got a back three of Mapimpi and Kosi and Fassi. So there's such quality all over the park. It gets a little bit unstuck at 12 and 13. 30s, specifically where Lukanya Arm is there for Japan for a short stint. At 17.5 Brent, I'm going to stay completely out this game. I've watched this movie too many times. Getting home from Friday drinks, only to watch the Sharks full ball off the ball. I saw the prediction tomorrow is going to be 82% humidity in Durban. I saw a lot of the guys from Durban commenting that the humidity is bad at the moment. So yeah. Look, they should cover. Like I said, if I was a bet on this, I'd take them on the minus. I just can't bet on this game purely because of I know how sometimes Durban can be such a bad ground to play. They can be so slippery, especially in that second half. The ball can be like a bar of soap. So I'm going to wait for points line for Scarlets, and then I'm going to take unders and Scarlets rather. I think the Sharks should be able to shut them out. And being in Durban at sea level, those long threes are difficult. And as Dino has come on the chat and said, there's 2 red flags for me. One is a Durban night game, and the other one is Sharks being favourites, and those 2 are like oil and water; they don't mix. So, like I said, I've taken Sharks sometimes on big handicaps. I remember when the Sharks were playing away in Kimberley against a very, very weak Griquas side, and they almost lost that game. They had to score in the last minute to win it. So I've watched too many Sharks performances where they've been poor. They've got incredible talent across the park, but I just like watching them against Treviso last week. They should have pumped Treviso by 40, and they just to me lack the clinical execution to really put teams away. So, like I said, I'd rather look at Scarlets unders. I
remember a third red flag for me on Friday nights was Pro Lagota reffing. That used to be an absolute red flag for me. I don't think I ever won when that oak reffed. But let's go to Chris now and get his views on this one, Chris, because it is a big cap, and I'm like Brendan. I'm a bit nervous on the Sharks, but I actually got a feeling that the Sharks are going to put it together and give the Scarlet side a good high.
Well, I totally agree. This is up there one of my bets of the weekend. And the start of that monologue from conductor there, I thought, geez, he's going to back this up. And now he's taken it down the ranks. Now I completely don't know what the hell to do. But anyway, if Sharks can't put the Scarlets team away by over 20 points, then we can all go home. We can pack up this game. We can call it quits, because I can't see anything else than a big Sharks win. I agree with the condition. We all lived here. We've watched we had many Friday night heartbreaks, but that was against the Highlanders, maybe. I don't know. This is Scarlet's like 3rd or 4th team against half a Bok team. The Scarlets don't even know what humidity. They don't even know what humidity spell. What they can't even spell humidity. I don't even know what they're in for. So if anyone's going to live with it, it's going to be the Sharks. They're going to have Bosch. If they're going to be giving away penalties, Bosch will be kicking penalties from all over the show if he needs to. It'll get the scoreboard ticking. I'm going to stick. I don't normally go for it, but I'm going for -7. My rugby mind, I can't not do it. So I'm going to back it. It might end in tears, but I like the Sharks. Shark, prove us wrong. They need to believe they're a better rugby team. They need to believe they can put this team away. They have to go do it. Come on. I totally agree that the center access is a big problem. Even with Bosch, I worry about that 10, 12, 13 access. You've got a world-class stars outside. They might not see the ball, and that does worry me big time. Because if they do, that Scarlet team's not going to know what hit. They won't even see Pimpy. They won't even see the number on his back. But the thing is, you've seen it with Bosch. If he starts kicking away from 15 meters out, then we know we're in trouble. So, but anyway, in terms of rugby, in terms of bet, I'm going to go for it. It's not majorly confident anymore, but I'll back the Sharks minus here, or get even on a smaller handicap alternate double. But I call Sharks to win by 20 at least.
I was going to say, Chris, if the conductor started and sort of ended a different way, you were very much the same. When you started talking, I thought this guy's going to label this as an absolute.
Well, I thought I was going to have a teammate up here. Now I'm hanging myself up to dry. So let's go for it.
By the end of it, we were less confident. Wager Warlock just mentioned Connacht away is his red flag. Yeah, everyone's got their red flags. Chris, we're going to carry on with you here. We've got the Blue Bulls against Munster, and here we got -6.5.
Short and sweet, Bulls -6. Let's go home and walk the dog. End of story. Bet of the weekend.
I also like it. But let's just see. I see a little bit of nodding there from the conductor.
No, look, Brent, like I said, I don't want to dissuade anybody from the Sharks bets. I think the minus is a cracker bet, and by all means take it. But just pour yourself a stiff whiskey beforehand, because it could be a bumpy ride. It should and it must come through, because
that's what I'm going to be doing. I'll be on something strong watching that game. I can just see what's going to happen. It's fine.
we know how the Sharks can be. Like they must cover this. I mean, you cannot have half of, like you say, 3/4 of a box side, half a box side with three of the best finishers in the world in your side, not being able to beat this handicap literally against a B/C Scarlet side. So by all means, rugby law dictates you take the minus here. But
Yeah.
You do
like
know
I
we
said,
moved on to the
personally-
next game, conductor. You're still talking
Okay.
about the Sharks game. I got the Bulls game.
So yeah, Brent, I managed to grab a lot of -5.5. Yeah, I'm really confident in the Bulls. To me, Jake White's been waiting for this game with eagerness. Van Kraan can talk to his players as much as he wants about the altitude. He's not going to be on that field. Talk is cheap when the Oaks are playing there. Look, there's still some decent talent in that Munster side. Guys, Jean Klein, Chris Cootie, Ben Healy, Shane Daly, Mark Haley, Simon Zebo, Chris Farrell. Some decent talent there. But I think Jake White will know his players are going to be. I think he's going to play at a manic tempo. I think he's going to try and keep the tempo incredibly high to really run Munster off their feet. I know Munster have been based in Pretoria for the past week to try and acclimatise, but you're not going to acclimatise in a week to this high altitude. Bulls at full strength versus Munster, where they've got 10 players, I think, with the Irish side. So, yeah, all over the minus here. I do expect Munster to be competitive, but I think Bulls will run away with this. I actually might look at a bigger minus on this as well.
Yeah.
And I like Bulls. I'll take Bulls overs as well. Chris Smith starting the game. To me, he's getting a good bit of confidence at the moment. And Morné Steyn on the bench, he's been cleared to play. So, Morné Steyn loves beating the guys from the other side of the pond. So, to me, this is a minus all the way.
Yeah.
Right, so we're all aligned on that one. Let's see the next game. It's one that doesn't involve the South African side. Yeah. Ulster against Leinster. Ulster -1.5 here against Leinster.
Brent, to be honest, I've got no feel on this game. I had a look. Ulster lose. I think I've lost about 7 players to the Irish squad. So Kieran Treadwell, Nick Timoney, Balogun, Hume, Ian Henderson. They've lost quite a couple. Mark Lowry, Leinster similarly lost quite a few players. Ulster are generally very, very competitive. I think they've won 8 out of 8 in the URC. Also generally very competitive in Belfast at the Kingspan. I'd probably take Ulster on the board. But like I said, I've tried to read a bit into this game. Leinster were very good against Benetton last week. But this is a different kettle of fish playing in Belfast, in an Irish derby. So I'd probably back Ulster on the board, yeah.
Ulster on the board. Let's get Chris's view on this one.
Yeah, I totally agree. When I was looking at this game, I was actually quite surprised of Leinster's record against Ulster. For some reason, I thought Ulster would have a better record. And in my mind, I feel Ulster are playing better rugby this season overall. So I agree. I like Ulster, yeah. I like Ulster on the board. Another brilliant 1-12er as well. I think Ulster win this game, and I'm going to get involved in this game because it'll be a tight one as well.
Should be a good one to watch as well. Chris, this is, I think, on Sunday the Lions play.
Sunday, yeah.
Is it Sunday?
Yeah.
We got the Lions up against Cardiff here. We got -5.5 points. Interested in your views on this one. I was thinking the Lions. This is a game for me. I want to be looking at the total points line. If the conditions are good, I think we're going to see tries from both sides.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Lions have been so disappointing. I think it's cost a few of us a few bets in the last month or so, even at home. But that's see how Cardiff and Munster come to the Highveld on a hot day and do, because great Super Rugby teams come. Okay, the good ones can live, but a lot of them do battle or fade away. And no disrespect. I mean, those teams have maybe a bit more quality than the teams that the Super RURC Northern teams are bringing over. So even a team like the Lions, you feel are going to run. Cardiff are going to be taking deep, hard breaths when it burns those lungs at 16 minutes. And there's just going to be space. There's just surely going to be space on the park. So I agree. I agree on points. I'm not going to touch the cap just because the Lions have just let me down. So it's I'm just for that. Not for this game. I'll leave that out. I'll agree. I'll watch the points.
Wait for the points lines. I'll post any bets there on the Good for the Game forum as well. Link to that and also our newsletter down below. I can tell you I'm under all sorts of pressure in the newsletter. Last year could do no wrong. This year can't find a jolly winner. I'm hoping one of these boys will help me out here. Brendan, Lions -5.5 against Cardiff. Can you trust this Lions side? Are you on mute, Brendan?
Oh, sorry, Brent. Sorry. Yeah, trust is a big word when it comes to the Lions. I had the Lions. They absolutely killed many rands in my bank accounts against the Stormers when they just kicked every single ball away. So I've taken a bit of Lions -5.5. To me, this is going to come down to team selection. It's two positions that I'm looking at. Number 9, I need Morne van den Berg to play. 15, I need either Kieran Horn or the 10 that played a couple of weeks ago, the guy with the big boots.
Yes, was it Swanpool or something?
So,
Swanpool.
Yeah, so I need Hendricks at 10. And I need
Zealand no party, yeah.
Yeah, so all I need is a few things. I need Tutuka back at 6. I need Van den Berg at 9. I need Kieran Horn at 15. And I'm going to go ballistic on this. I'll go, if that's what's going to happen, I'll happily go big on the -5.5. Much bigger on the second half handicap. To me, there's still a lot of quality in this Cardiff side. Jared Evans, Lloyd Williams, Jenkins, Botham, Ray Lilo, Hallam Amos. Really is a lot of quality in this Cardiff side. But like Chris says, that last 15, 20 minutes, and this is what has been so disappointing with Evan van Rooyen as the coach of the Lions. He's moved away from that really high-paced tempo rugby that Ruan Ackerman stressed for them to have with a big forward pack and running them off the park that last 15, 20 minutes. Even in Lions Super Rugby, even if they were down, you still believed with 15, 20 minutes to go, they could take over. If they were 20 points down, you still backed them to win because they just were phenomenal running the ball. They against the Stormers, they moved away completely from that running game to a kicking game, kicking for possession, which is madness at the half-felts. Keep the tempo high, keep the guys running. The only concern which I've got is the same as in the Bulls game. The Bulls game is Ben Waratahs. He's an international referee coming from Wales. I'm scared that he also runs out of puff and keeps the game slow. Almost on a sort of northern hemisphere. No, it's a genuine fear. I think he's my concern is that these guys come to altitude and like the players, the referees run out of puff. So they get to the scrums, they don't particularly rush it, and those kind of things. So I'm hoping, I saw the Lions. For me, they'd be desperate for a win. The Lions had some of their Bok coaches there. For me, against the Leinster side, the set piece was fantastic. I thought they dominated Leinster in the set piece. We need to have that again. But like I said, we need to have a 9-10 of Morne van den Berg, Hendricks, and a good 15 to put that pressure. You need to have a guy like Ruggs McLawani to chase everything, keep the tempo high, keep these guys running, and let the last 20 minutes take its toll. And that's why, like I said, I'm really big on the second half handicap. It just covers you. If Cardiff do have a good 45 minutes, I think the Lions could pull it back nicely. And I like to look at points here. I think the Lions will just try and run everything off the park.
Looking forward to this game. I must say, let's hope it's a case of trying to build on my wins rather than chase my losses on Sunday. We got Stormers here. This is a big handicap. I mean, I think all of us are probably hoping for about -21.5, -22.5. The bookies are wise to us here. -31.5. The Stormers, Brendan.
Yeah, Brent. Geez, they saw us coming. Geez, also, this is very similar to when I'd come home after a couple of toots at 2:30 in the morning and I'd scratch the car. My dad would say, "Not angry, he's just disappointed." So this is me feeling on this cap. I'm not angry. I'm just completely disappointed. We've lined this up for so long, hoping for something in the high teens or low 20s, and the bookies absolutely sledgehammer.
What was the cap previously? Do you remember?
It started at about 17.5, 18.5.
Yes, it was. When they came here last time, eh?
It eventually was in about 22, 23 before it got cancelled.
Yeah.
So they knew we were waiting for this like hungry hippos. And the problem is that the game is in Donny Craven Stadium at 6 o'clock in the evening on Sunday nights. So The risk ratio, the risk reward ratio is not even here for me. It's not fantastic. I see the minus 31 and minus 30 and a half. If you had taken that, you would have lost 8 out of 11 times against Zebre. They don't score a lot of points, but sometimes they don't concede a lot of points. But this Zebre side is incredibly weak, have lost all the internationals and have injuries. So I'll still take the minus 31 and a half. I'm hoping the conditions in Stellenbosch will be good. I think John Dobson will be aiming to get maximum points out of this, get a nice points differential. I won't be massive on it. Maybe after a couple of bottles of wine, the strength will increase. But at the moment, it's probably a medium strike for me.
Yeah, I must say a handicap a bit higher than I'd have liked, but still leaning very much towards the Stormers there. Chris, yourself on this one?
Yeah, share the same thoughts. I was thinking also the early 20s would have been great. I still believe it's a 40 to 50 point Stormers win, because Stormers they have had a good season. They're pity about the Connacht game, but I think at home if they get ahead of steam, they'll be too much for Zebre. Their defense is a lot better, so I can't see Zebre scoring a lot of tries. It'd be interesting. Donny Kramer, this will also be interesting too, because there were some weather reports around. I know it's going to be very hot on the weekend, and then there might be rain. But from Cape Town, I know that's the summer, early winter, late summer rain isn't real rain. That kind of just blows over. But it'll be interesting to see the States. I might wait for pre-match build-up to see what the vibe is there before I pull the trigger. And also, because the late game on Sunday, generally, I don't, how I've done also in my betting, it depends also whether I go full on or not. So I'll see what state of mind I am by 6 o'clock on Sunday, because usually I'm trying to rest it up for the weekend. But we'll see. But I like performance to cover.
Right, well, Shane telling us some bad news there on the cricket front. Done his money there, unfortunately. Just I think to end off on that game, I think it's safe to say that if the Zebre have a points line of 2.5, Henrik Swart will be going under 2.5 Zebre points on this game. So looking forward to seeing what that one comes out at. Chris, we're going to stick with you as we move into the home stretch of the show. The Gallagher Premiership, what have we got here? 5 games to talk about. And we'll start with the Worcester Warriors up against the Exeter Chiefs. And we've got plus 11.5 the Warriors.
Well, I'm not a Worcester man. At home they're a lot better. So I think at home against Exeter could be the play. But this is not a game I'm going to get involved in. Especially Exeter as well have been a banana skin for me this season. So Worcester, Exeter, no, this will be no bet for me.
Right, I saw Brendan there shaking his head, but I think shaking your head in agreement with Chris, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, it's a no bet for me, Brent. Worcester Warriors got beaten like a red-headed stepchild against London Irish. So missing Duan van der Sorry, Chris.
This is Auburn. It's not red. It's Auburn.
It's no implication. Sorry, mate. Sorry, but no, Warriors missing Duan van der Merwe, obviously, and Rory Sutherland. I don't know who they're bringing back for this game. Obviously, Steve Diamond brought in at Worcester Warriors, and he's trying to make their home ground a bit of a fortress, but he just doesn't have the cattle at the moment. They could be competitive. Exeter Chiefs, I did see Rob Baxter saying they are getting back some guys. I do expect Exeter Chiefs to win this game. I just have no feel on the cap, unfortunately.
Right, let's stick with you then on move to the next game. Brendan, Leicester Tigers minus 7.5 against London Irish.
Brent, I've taken a little bit of a strike. Sorry, on London Irish. Obviously, Leicester comprising 1/5 of the England team at the moment. I think that Joe Hayes, obviously George Ford, Ben Youngs, Ollie Chesham. So I'm missing a couple of guys away to duty. London Irish, I think, do get back Ollie Hassel-Collins. Geez, they're mighty impressive just to ground out games, to keep it close. I'll take London Irish on the plus, and I'll take money on the draw here. I've never seen a team draw as much as London Irish, and they just seem somehow to always get the draw. Leicester, didn't do the business against Saracens. So I expect them to be up for this game, but like I said, missing a couple of players. Freddie Burns, I don't know if he's going to slot in at 10 when George, with George Ford. But that to me, that London Irish back row is very, very dangerous. They do tend to score a lot of points. I'll be interested to see what the points line is here. I see the pitch at Walford Road is starting to dig up a little bit. So if it's a bit high, I'm not too sure. But London Irish love to score points. Paddy Jackson is incredibly accurate off the tee. So I do like the London Irish plus here. They're very competitive at the moment.
Right, let's get Chris's views on this one.
Yeah, I echo in those views as well. London Irish have been a surprise package. They were a team that I didn't quite rate. I stayed away with them, like with Worcester, but they're playing well this season. You can't deny it. They're a team that they play well. Leicester with the English contingent are top 3, top 2 team. Without, they're back into the middle of the pack, and London Irish can certainly live with them in this game. Certainly could beat them. So 7's a good cap. So definitely plus 7. If it was at Irish, I'll also be all over the points. But at Walford Road, it's not a high scoring game in the dead of winter. Like I say, when it starts getting muddy, like the wreck, the games can be lower scoring. But I would say that it's an over points game. But plus 7's a good bet.
Right, let's stay with you, Chris. Newcastle Falcons plus 12.5 against Saracens.
No, this is again another game. Falcons are not a team that I usually get involved with. So no, not get involved in this game.
Brendan, so a head movement.
I just, to be honest, I haven't done enough reading on either of the teams in terms of, I think Nick Ezekwe is back for Saracens, but I'm not. I don't know I think Rudwan, and I don't know if Jamie Blamar is back for the Falcons. To be honest, I don't want to offer an opinion that anybody can sort of base their bet on here, because I'll be honest, I don't have any feel on this.
No problem. We've had
so many games. The Saracens should cover it by all means. That should be it. But I also, again, teams, and it's Sunday. It's far away at the moment, and I agree.
It's
not enough. Not enough. Yeah, it's just one of those games.
Right, we'll stay with you, Brendan. We've got a couple of games left, and this is the Sale Sharks minus 5.5 against Gloucester.
Yeah, Brent, funny enough, I'm big on the Sale Sharks minus 5.5 here. I thought they had just they had a really off day at the office. They just looked really off color against Sure, but it's going to come to me in a second. Like last week in Exeter at Stanley Park, they just looked awful. They just couldn't string a pass together. So, it was heavily disrupted. They lost Visa, I think, very early on in the game, and obviously Loet Jager pulled up before the game with an illness. I think Loet Jager will be back. I think he probably should have recovered. For me, just a really off day for Sale Sharks. Gloucester will be missing guys like Chris Harris, Louis Zamet, and Hastings. He's been recalled to the Scottish side. I think the Sale Sharks have got more than enough to do the business here. I think that Alex Sanderson will know that Gloucester won't be at full strength and target this game. A guy like Chris Harris, so essential for Gloucester in the midfield. Louis Zamet had a great game last week against Saints. So I'm all over the Sharks here like a cheap suit.
Right, Chris, anything strong for you on this one?
It feels like we kind of like copying each other here through these fixtures, but I genuinely do echo what Brendan said. I think we've aligned on all of those games, and that's not me. I think we are on the same. I agree. I think Sale are going to be too much for Gloucester. I think they're going to win by double that.
Dean Adams saying if Fuff starts, they will clear the cap. I saw Fuff came on as a sub, I think, in the last game. He didn't start. He came on. I think he came as a sub. Interesting to see if he cracks the nod to start there. And talking of last game, we're moving on to the last game, and we'll let Chris have first bash it at Bristol Bears minus 1.5 against the Harlequins. I
know not everyone's been keen on Bristol this season, but they've actually been one of my better teams that I've been backing and when I followed them at the right time. So I'm not deviating. I think, again, without the internationals, Bristol at home will have enough to do the business.
Excellent.
They'll cover this cap. I think that it'll be close. Another nice 1-12 game. They'll cover they'll cover one. They'll win by a little bit more than one.
Just to mention, while I was just checking out anything on the forum there, not on this particular game, but Thoughts on Sports has put his picks on there, so you can go and get those on the Good for the Game forum thread. There's a link down below the video. Right, Brendan, what's the final selection of the weekend before we get on to best bets?
Yeah, Brent, funny enough, I like Harlequins here. It's on the plus.
Yeah.
I'm going to dispute Chris. The reason being, like Bristol Bears, I've never seen an injury run like this ever in my life. Bristol Bears are on their 6th choice scrum off. So if you don't like your mother-in-law, call Pat Lam up. Tell him like she's eligible to be scrum off because she's due for a horrible injury. I've never seen as many scrum offs injured. Max Green is like their 5th choice. Is not back this week. Nualongo, the phenomenal Fijian winger, he's out for a couple of games, I think, after copping a ban for that red card. Ian Lloyd suffered a cheekbone issue. I think he's out for this game. Wilmore, he's the prop. He's out for this game. So Bears just have a horrific injury list. Callum Sheedy is obviously a big plus. He's back. But, horrible injuries for Bears. I just think Harlequins, I don't know. Like I said, to be honest, I haven't had much reading into Harlequins this week. I don't know if they get back Louis Lana. I think Louis Lana was in and around the England camp. I don't know if he's back.
Yeah.
But for me, there's enough talent in this Harlequin side to get the job done. Bears have been awful. Some part bad play, but just really, really horrendous luck with injuries. As they get guys back, they just seem to sort of be, sort of hobble off, etc. And when you let Hughes go, and Hughes is absolutely a demon off a bath. So it just doesn't look like Pat Lam is catching much correct, or he's not having much luck at the moment. So I'll not a massive strike, but a small to medium strike on Harlequins plus here. Like I said, I think Bears' injury tolls is just really unlucky.
Right, gents, we're going to get into the best bets. Just before I do that, apologies to the guys who watched.
So Brent, I think there's one. Yeah. There's Saints versus Wasps. I don't know if that's going because I didn't have the bet. I quite like Saints at home. Actually, it's a pick 'em game, but I think Saints are going to do the business. I quite like them.
Saints v Wasps. Let me just see. I wonder why I missed that one. Maybe
it was a pick 'em, or it was one.
Oh no, there it is. Score. Yeah. I've got Saints here minus 1.5. Give us your views on that one.
With Saints and Bristol, I know it's true what Brendan was saying about Bristol, but somehow I've caught them, so they're becoming like a charm. And by all means, take Conductor's info there because I wasn't quite aware of all the injuries, and that is a big injury list, which is worrying. But I'm far more. So what I mean is I'm far more confident on Northampton doing the business at home to Wasps.
And Brendan, your views on this one? I just put the name up quickly because. Afterwards as well, I'll make sure there's a link to each of the games. What do you like? I see you agreeing with this.
Brent, I managed to get Wasps. I managed to get Saints plus 4.5 early doors. Yeah, I think it's shortened to plus 1.5. I think it's choice. Yeah. So, when they came out, there was obviously a bit of speculation because obviously I didn't know if Alfie Barbary or Launchbury would be back for Wasps. They aren't. So Fikitoa, I think, is a 50-50. He might play. Frans Hoogaard is back for them. They are getting a couple of guys back for Wasps, but I think Jack Willis. I don't know if he might be injured. I'm not too sure exactly, but Saints get back Alex Mitchell and Furbank from the England side. Saints have lost 3 in a row. I just think that if Wasps do win, it's going to be very tight. So I'm happy. I was happy to take the big plus there, but I'd probably still take Saints on the board. Yeah, I think Saints will get the win. I thought they were a bit unlucky against Exeter not to take the win there. Wasps have been good in patches, but like I said, Alfie Barbary is a massive player for me for Wasps. So if he's not playing, I'm happy to take Saints at home there.
Right, well, thanks for bringing that one up, guys. I don't know, Sunbet actually didn't have betting on that when I looked, and they still don't, so I'm not too sure why they don't want to have that one up. But let's get on to the best bets now. I just wanted to mention, last week I ran out of recording place in a recording space, which I didn't realize I could do in the StreamYard apps. I couldn't get the podcast up, and I know a couple of guys like to listen in the car on the way to work, so that will be up this week. We'll have it up on all major platforms, including the likes of Apple and Spotify. But let's get into the best bets, and I'm going to start with you, Brendan, because I want to give next week's host the final say today on the show. Brendan, what are your best bets for the weekend?
Brent, for me, it's tough to look beyond the Bulls. I really think Jake White's been prepping the guys at altitude, massive pack. I struggle to see Munster staying in touch here. I like Bulls on the minus. I'll take Bulls on the overs. And like I said, just contingent upon the Lions naming their side. I really like the Lions on the minus as well. That's a bit of a riskier one. It's like I said, it's also one to have just a double shot of Jameson's before you take that bet, just to pluck up the courage. Elsewhere, like I said, I don't like opposing the French. It's a really scary side, but I really like Wales in the plus. It'd probably be my best bets, but my best bet by far, heads and above, is the Bulls.
But all you were hoping, Brendan, is you don't see the newsletter come out tomorrow with the heading of the Bulls in the newsletter, because the way my current form is, I can stop absolute trains.
It's just the old curse, eh? No, we'll change it around.
We'll break it.
Absolutely.
We'll break it. Right, Chris, what are your best bets?
I've got pretty much the same there. Definitely Munster's my best bet. Wales my second best bet. Waratahs 1 to 12 I really love, and actually we didn't discuss it, we were about to, but I really like Blues Highlanders over 49. I think they're going to be points there. It doesn't look like it. I don't think the weather's going to be too bad in North Harbour, and I think there'll be over 49's a nice point line for that game. So those are my three biggest bets, and then I like Mac and early Brumbies hooker to get a pie there as well. Those are my four strongest bets.
Excellent. Well, gents, thanks very much. I must say, I realized during the show I could have saved a lot of time by just having one of you on, because it was amazing how aligned you were. And it's funny how it works out. I mean, some weeks everyone's aligned, and other weeks it's totally the opposite. You get guys totally. So I must say, I like the fact that sometimes people are different, but it's also nice to be like, when I hear you both going on the Bulls, I'm like, okay, because I also kind of fancied them as well. And my current form, I'm a bit nervous, so felt good about that. But great show, guys.
Actually, the other one of my favorite would have been my favorites is I was eyeing up Canes and Pacifica for points. I was licking my lip, and that would have been up on my best.
I don't know about you guys. I know Henrik was on the plus there because he had heard about
me too.
So
that was another game that would have been on my best bets list, but unfortunately it's gone.
So it's nice to know, viewers, that they even agreed on the game that isn't taking place this weekend. That's exceptional stuff. But anyway, first of all, to all the guys on the live chat, thanks very much. Great, as always, having your contributions. To the guys who are watching the recording, also appreciate it. And also appreciate the support you gave us for Manscaped. Look out next week. We've got a new host on the show. He's a Hollywood handsome. He'll be taking you through next week. Looking forward to that. And Chris, have a great weekend, mate. Thanks again for your contribution. And same to you, conductor. Enjoy the weekend.
Thanks, Brent. Let's hope for a good weekend. Let's not try and focus on every game. Let's try and actually give the bookies an awful Monday.
Excellent. Looking forward to it. Next week, Thursday. Join Chris on the team. I'll be on the dance floor embarrassing my son. Cheers, everyone.
Don't be too sad. This is your last show. Don't worry about it. Just keep drinking there and you're fine.
Cheers, everyone.